Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Book of Many Things. We're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. We're specifically going to talk about Book of Many Things, Chapter 3. Chapter 3 of Book of Many Things, which is the balance chapter, and it really changes all of Dungeons and Dragons. It really changes all of Dungeons and Dragons present and future, because it explains exactly how to take your entire table to the C, away from the D20 to the C22, right? So for all of Dungeons and Dragons history, we've used the D20, right, which is a normal die. You've picked them up, a plastic D20. Now some people are using a mammoth bone D20. It's a physical rolling dodecahedron, right? And it's been a really big part of Dungeons and Dragons history, right? So Dungeons and Dragons BOMT Chapter 3 explains that you don't have to use the D20 anymore with customizable results. So there's this section in customizable results, and it says, hey, you could use this, you could use the Deck of Many Things, which has 22 cards, to generate a customizable result in Dungeons and Dragons, right? So that means, and customizable result means that the C22, any dungeon performer who uses the C22, it gets a way better, gets a massively better chance of literally 3 times of producing a critical, and can do things with their dice that simply can't be done with the C22, that simply can't be done with the D20. So what I want to talk about today is that customizable result. So that aspect of what we're talking about, right? And I want to talk about the rise of the Cice, right? So what is the C22? It is a Cice. It is a card dice. It's Cice, card dice, right? So if the Dungeon Master has their C22, if you have your C22 as a dungeon performer, and the 3 other dungeon performers sitting around the table with you all have your C22, you have Cice, card dice. And this is brand new. It has never existed before in Dungeons and Dragons. It's really a massive change, right, for a lot of reasons. All right, so let's talk about customizable results. So first of all, if you use the C22, right, exactly as with the values that I've defined, there's a nice link to a page where I've assigned the values to each of the 22 dice. You can assign them in any way you want, right? But first of all, a D20, you roll the D20. You get a 1, you get a 1. You get a 20, you get a 20, right? It's not customizable, right? But because it was designed this way, and because we're handed this option by buying the Book of Many Things, and we are freed from the D20 now, right? We get so when we draw from the deck to get a result from 1 to 20, air quotes, we can get 21, the Uriel, which is the player, which is the dungeon performer, the player's choice, or we get a 22, which is the dungeon master's choice, right? And so at that point, it could be anything. It could be a failure. It could be a critical. That is truly customizable, right? So anytime the C22 is rolled, it literally recursively applies fate to fate, right? Previously, only fate mattered. Now, fate or the dungeon master's choice, fate or the dungeon performer's choice. That's truly massively a customizable result, okay? Cice, right? Card dice. In addition to this, right, when the dungeon master rolls the D20 with the C22, right, you could end up with where the dungeon master's roll hits a 21, right? The Dungeon Master rolls out in the open, pulls out the Uriel card, and now on the Dungeon Master's turn, the Dungeon Performer is choosing the value that the red dragon just got, choosing the value that the skeleton got, choosing the value that Elminster got, choosing the value that the NPC got. That's astounding. That is truly incredible and truly customizable, right? Customizable. Next, this also, the reason Cice was brought forward, in my humble opinion, is to open up this entire array of new possibilities at the infrastructure level, And that's why I love D&D Canon Hardback so much, is they're not just presenting, a new monster, presenting a new spell, presenting a new magic item, all these infrastructure changes, like actually iteration content, it's changing Dungeons and Dragons at the fundamental core level, at the infrastructure level. That takes incredible courage, right? That takes incredible commitment. That takes incredible innovation, just like Gary Gygax. And there's a world of things that we can do now with the C22 that was absolutely impossible with the D20. Let's talk about just one of them. So the C22 solves one of the worst problems in Dungeons and Dragons, okay? And that is advantage, right? You get advantage, then you get advantage, you get inspiration. Okay, I'm sorry, inspiration. You get inspiration, then you get inspiration again. Rules is written, you're SOL. You had inspiration, you didn't get a chance, you got inspiration on your turn, then you did something bold and brave with your reaction, right? And before the turn has even gotten back to you, you now have inspiration twice. Before Dungeons and Dragons, before BOMT, before Book of Many Things, you're SOL. Who cares? You got nothing, right? Now with C22, the Dungeon Master can say, remove a card, right? So you already have inspiration. You need a reward. Previously, if you got inspiration again, you got nothing, right? Huge problem. There's actually, this is not a joke. You'll find 100 videos talking about that problem right here on YouTube, right? It's fixed. It's absolutely fixed, right? And the reason why is you can now remove a card from your deck, right? And that'll be for the rest of the scene. The Dungeon Master may even say it's for the rest of the session, right? I don't think your Dungeon Master would ever say it goes further than that. But for the rest of the session, your deck doesn't have a 2, right? Or your deck even doesn't have a 1, right? Or your deck doesn't have a 7. Or, whoa, what's happening here? The Dungeon Performer says, take out my 20, take out my critical. Why would they do that? And this is where we land, moving into sections of Dungeons and Dragons that are unprecedented. Frontierland, exactly the way Gary designed it to be. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.